Welcome to part 4 of MERN Stack blog project series. In today's video, we will learn how to implement JWT in Node.js, and we will also learn how to connect our app to MongoDB. In previous video, we completed our login and sign up functionality for our MERN Stack blog project. If you haven't watched that part, you should do that by visiting our MERN Stack blog project playlist. Now let's start with task for this particular video, which is to set up JavaScript Web Tokens and then connecting backend to MongoDB. I'll guide you through the process step by step, so make sure you follow along. Now let's move ahead with this tutorial, and what I'll be doing first over here inside my backend folder, I'll be creating one more folder, and inside that we will be storing our routes. First we will create the routes and then we will create the model. So basically, what is route? Route is basically the URL you provide to navigate throughout your website. And what are the models? Models basically the functionalities you add. Let's say you want to comment on something, right? So for that we have to create models, right? So we will be doing that later, but right now we will be creating a routes first. So first of all, I'm creating a folder named routes. So let's say routes over here, and inside that, first of all, we will be having our authentication. So first of all will be the authentic auth route. Then we will be having a comment route to navigate to particular comment. And then we will be having a post route, and then we will be having a user route. So let's go ahead and do that. First of all, I'm creating Auth.js, and over here we will be needing few things whenever we will be logging inside our website. So first of all, what we want to do over here is we have to import our express. So let's do that, and I'm using normal Node.js, so that's why I'm using const require is equal to require express, like this. Now we also have to import our router. So let's say const router is equal to express dot router. So router is basically a function inside our express module only. Okay, so we don't have to separately install our router over here, but when we will be, we have already created our navigation, so there we have used React Router DOM, but over here we will be using express router. Okay, I hope this part is clear to you. Then we will create one constant. So let's say user, because this constant user will be storing all the data which will be coming from a model. So right now we don't have the model folder, but I'm just giving over here. We don't have it right now, so let's just move ahead and create that folder as well. So over here I'm creating a models folder. So let's say models, like this, and inside this I'll be creating few models. First of all will be comment. So here we will be writing all the logics. Okay, comment.js, another model will be post.js. So this will be helping to pass the data to the backend. Okay, we will also set up the middleware inside our index.js, but first of all we will manage this all things. Okay, now let's move back to our Auth.js. We were at the Auth.js, right? So over here I'll be giving the folder, let's say models / user. This will be storing the user. Now whenever we are creating any login page, or let's say authentication page, so in that case we basically keep two things in mind. First, that the login to any particular website is very secure. So how you can make it secure? By using JWT token and by changing your password into bcrypt format. So basically what we will do, we will hash our password. So how we will do it, let's say some user is logging into your website, and you are storing that password and everything inside your backend. So don't you think that that's very inappropriate, because you are storing the password of particular user inside your backend? So whoever has access to your backend will have access to their particular accounts as well, right? So for that, what we will do, we will create a password in a hash format. So we store the password in the hash format. So for that we basically need bcrypt. So bcrypt is basically a module. So let me just show you. I'm moving back to my Chrome over here, and if I'll just say npm bcrypt, over here you can see this one, right? See, this is the module. What this will do, this will add some salt inside your password. So what is salt? Basically, salt is something random set of integers or numbers and everything. Okay, so whenever you will be storing the password, you won't be having a actual password of that particular user. Only that user have the actual password with him or her. Okay, so that's why we use this bcrypt dependency. So let's move ahead and download this. I'm just copying this over here, and over here you can also see the downloads throughout the time over here. Okay, now I'll be just moving to my backend first, backend folder, and I'll be just pasting whatever we have just copied. Okay, similarly, whenever we are logging into some particular website, there are some tokens generated. Let's say I have logging into my bank account, or let's say any bank portal application. So whenever I'm logging into that particular application, there are, if you have noticed, there is some certain amount of time it keeps my account logged in, and after certain amount of time my account automatically gets logged out. So for that we basically use JWT token. So what is this JWT token is? It's basically a JSON Web Token. So it's also a package, so you can download from over here. So let's say JSON Web Token. So over here you can see this one, right? JSON Web Token. So if you will go through this particular documentation, you will get to know how basically this JWT works. Okay, so and how you can use this as well. So what we do over here is we basically give our secret key, and that secret key is added to that particular JSON token, and that token is passed whenever the user is logging into our website. So we not only matches the password, we also match the JWT token whenever the user is logging. Okay, so let's just do install this one. So I'm just copying this particular command from here, and moving back to my VS Code and pasting this over here. Okay, so we have installed both of this, so let's make use of it. So let's say const bcrypt is equal to require like this, and similarly we will do for our JWT. JWT is basically a short form. Okay, JSON Web Token JWT is equal to require. Here you have to write the whole thing. Okay, don't write JWT over here, it will throw you an error. Now first of all we will create a route for our register. So whenever the people is registering inside your particular website, in that case we will be using this particular endpoint. So let's say here I'm just commenting over here to make it a clear representation. You can avoid this comments as well. Okay, now to create a route, what we will do, we will just make use of this particular route dot whatever the type of operation you want to perform. So whenever we are when the user is registering inside your website, in that case what we will be doing, we will be passing the data, right? So in that case we will be using post operation. Let's say some user is logging into your particular website. In that case we also have to post the data, we have to send that particular data back. But let's say the user is logging out from your particular website. In that case we use get data. So we basically tell our server to pass that particular data to us. we don't have to pass any data to the server. Okay, so whenever we are passing any data to the server, in that case we will be using post, and whenever we are receiving the data from the backend, in that case we will be using our get operation. So right now we are just making our register page, so we will be using a post operation over here, and inside this we will mention our endpoint. So let's say endpoint will be register, let's say tab, and I'm removing this part. Okay, now what we have to do, we will perform a async operation over here, and inside that we will pass request and response. So let's do that. I'm just closing this so that I don't get any errors. Okay, here we will create one async operation. Let's say async. You can see the suggestions, right? So you can also download Autopilot. I don't usually use that much whenever I'm teaching, but whenever I'm coding for myself, I definitely use the suggestions, and sometimes the suggestions are wrong as well, so don't always trust the suggestions. Okay, now inside this async request and response, what we will do, we will pass some request to the backend, and in return we get the response. So I have already mentioned earlier that whenever we are dealing with any kind of backend functionalities or any kind of backend calls, we usually write try and catch block. So let's say try over here and catch over here, and catch will be catching the error, and if we will get any error, we will console it, console.log error, like this. Okay, now let's handle this try block. Okay, first, now inside our try block we will create one constant, and inside that we will be storing our, let's say, username, email address and password. Whatever we are getting from registration, we will be adding that over here. Okay, so there are basically three things only, which is username, email address and password we will be storing inside our backend. Okay, so that's what we are passing over here. So let's say name, comma, email, comma, password, and which is equal to request dot body. So this is basically our API body. Okay, so whenever we are trying to test this particular API, we need to pass these three things in JSON format, and then we can test our API. Okay, so this is our body, and now what we will do, we will create one constant as salt. So this is the salt which we are getting from our bcrypt package. Okay, so let's say await, and bcrypt dot get generate salt. Okay, so what this will do, this will generate a number of, how many digits long you will pass over here. Let's say we are passing 10 over here. Okay, so we want 10 random numbers to be added inside our particular password. Okay, now we have generated our salt. Now we have to use this particular salt inside our password. So for that, what we will do, we will create one more variable as hashed password. Inside this we will store our hashed password. Okay, and we will await. Then by using the bcrypt, we will use hashing. So this is the function we get from our bcrypt library again. Okay, and what are the two things we want to hash together, that is password comma salt. Okay, now what we have to do, we have to create this particular user. So now we will create one variable as new user. What happened over here, we will create a new user variable like this, is equal to new user variable we have already created over here, right? So I'm making use of that particular variable only. Now inside this new user, we will be passing the data in JSON format. So starting from the username, comma, username will be same, email, comma, password as a hashed password. So we will be having a field as a password, but inside that we will be storing a hashed password. So over here we are storing username as it is, email address as it is, so we don't need to give this column and write this again. So we can directly write username as username, email as email, but password as hashed password we will be storing inside our backend. Now we will create one more constant, let's say saved user is equal to await new user dot save. So this is basically a backend query to save whatever we have just created. Okay, so here I'm creating one more variable as saved user, and inside that I'm just saving whatever the new user we have just created. And if this request is successful, in that case we will set the status as 200 like this, .json saved user. So we have pass the status as 200 so that we can know that there are no errors inside our particular backend functionality code. Now over here, if in case let's say there is some error, let's say there are some network issues, or let's say some other logical issues, in that case I also want to set my status as let's say response.status as 500 over here dot JSON error. Okay, and you can remove this particular error message over here because we are already passing the error in format of JSON. Okay, so this one is for our register. So you can also go ahead and check this particular API inside your Postman, but right now we will create all the APIs first, and then we will test all the APIs after creating the models. Okay, so that we can store this particular data inside our by using the model also, and then we will test all the APIs. Okay, so this one is for register. Now we have login. Okay, here I'm just adding one comment as login so that I can know what or where I have returned my particular code. Okay, now similarly as we have done for the register, we will do almost same things for our login as well. Just the thing is, we just have to match the things which have already presented in our backend. So over here we will be comparing whether the email address, or let's say a password, whichever which is stored inside our backend is similar to this particular response or not. So let's say a router dot, again we will be performing the post operation over here. The endpoint will be login, and this will be the async operation. We have already talked about this, right? So this is the similar thing over here, and I'll just close this first. And inside this again we will create a try and catch block. So let's do that. Let's say try like this and catch like this. This will get an error, and inside my catch block there will be response.status 500 again if there is any failure, and JSON, and we will pass the error like this. Now let's focus on this try block. So inside the try block, first of all, what we will do, we will find that particular email address inside our backend, so that let's say there is some data stored inside your backend. So the data will be sequential, right? But whenever we are directly comparing that particular data, so it will only compare the first, let's say it will only compare the first one, right? Obviously it's not necessary that the user which is trying to log in has just have created the account, right? So it won't be at the top of the stack. So that what we have to do, we have to first find the particular email address, or let's say password, inside our database first. So what we will do, we will go to our database and ask him, I want the user inside my database which has the similar email address, right? Because whenever we are registering, there we are taking usernames, name and password. Okay, so email address and password, but over here we will be only having two things, which is email address and password, because lots of users can have a same name. We are not creating any functionality so that the user have the different names inside our particular website. Okay, so what we will be doing, we will be just taking the email address and password. So we cannot let's say short by using the password, right? Because let's say my password is 1234 and your password is also 1234. So in that case there will be two email address with the same password, right? So for that, what we have to do, we have to search using our email address. So what we will do over here, we will create one const user is equal to await. Now we have already created this user, right? Dot find one. So this find one is inbuilt function whenever we are creating a backend. So okay, like this. Inside that we will pass our email address colon request, like this. We'll be requesting the data from our backend over here, and body.email, like this. Okay. If you want, you can also console this particular email address into your terminal, but I don't think that's required. So let's say if not user, let's say the email address is not found inside our backend. So in that case, what we will do, we will just set the status as 404, that is not found, right? So let's do that. Let's say return response dot status 404 dot JSON, and the string we will be passing as user not found, like this. Now after this, let's say we found the user. So in that case, let's say const match, we will create one more variable as match is equal to await, and we will we have hashed our particular password, right? So we also have to unhash that particular password, or let's say we have bicrypted that particular password, so we have to decrypt that as well. Okay, so for that also we will be using our bcrypt library only, and we will compare the password. Let's say request dot body dot password. So you have, if you have remember, here we have set this particular inside our particular body, right? So if you can see over here, this is inside our body. Everything this is stored inside our particular body. So from that I'll be getting my request.body.password. Okay, now after getting the password, what we will do, we will also, let's say user dot password, and from that we will get the password. Okay, so after finding the email address, we have to match that particular email address's password, right? Because if I get my email address first, then I have to look for the password inside that particular data only. So for that I'm creating I'm taking the user's password. Now what will be the case? Let's say you are trying to logging in and you forget your password. So in that case, if not match, what not match? Your password does not match. In that case, what we will do, we will just return, what's happening today with me? Okay, response dot status again as 404, 401 also you can use JSON wrong password. Wrong password, like this. Okay, now what we will do, we will generate a token, or you can say a session ID. Okay, so for that I'll be creating one constant name token, and from where this token will be coming from, JSON Web Tokens. Okay, so let's say JWT. This JWT is the the variable we have created over here, and inside that we have passed JSON Web Token. Okay, so that JWT I'm using over here, dot sign, and this will create a session ID, or you can say a token for our particular user. So for that I'll be giving ID over here like this, and then we will be having a username colon user dot username. So this user is basically the variable we have stored, and this username is the data inside that. Okay, now after that we also have to pass our email colon user dot email like this. And I guess I have forgotten to take curly braces over here, that's why it's giving me the error. This will be in the JSON format. Okay, now after that what we have to do, we have to pass our secret key. So for that we have to create one secret key as well. So over here inside my env, what I'll be just writing secret. Secret is equal to, you can give any secret key over here. Right now I'm just using Intellipaat as my secret key. Intellipaat, okay, like this. Now moving back to our auth folder, over here what I'll be doing, I'll be using that particular secret we have just created. Okay, so what we have to do with that is, we have to give that particular secret key over here. So for that I'll be just writing process dot env dot secret. Like this. Okay, and over here we will be passing experience in 3D. So let's say colon like this, and I'll be giving 3D over here. Now after that what we will do, we will create one more constant, and inside that we will be passing our password comma dot dot dot. This is basically a spread operator. Okay, spread info like this, and we will use user dot underscore talk like this. Now we will generate the cookies in response. So for that, let response dot cookie. Inside that we will pass the token, like this, and token over here. Then we will pass our from where you can access this particular token. So this token will be only accessible from HTTP servers. Okay, HTTPS will not be able to pass this particular token. Then we will turn on the security. So let's say secure, we will make secure as true. Then let's say same time, same site, and we will give none. Okay, and we will keep capital over here. Okay, now after that, if the request is successful, in that case we will also set the status. So let's say set status, and the status will be 200.json. Inside that we will pass our info. So all the information, whatever the user, whenever the user is logging in, I'm just passing that particular information inside our console. So this will set the status as 200 and also pass this data in form of JSON to our backend. Okay, so we have completed our authentication. Now we also have to make let's say two more routes. First one for the logout. Let's say when the user is already logged in and we have to log out that particular user. So for that we will be creating one more route as a logout. And let's say you want to fetch the data from any user. So let's say you will be using this particular data when you are creating any profile of the user. Whenever you are trying to show the profile of any user, in that case we basically use a refetch route over there. Okay, so for that we will be creating a refetch route. So first of all we will create logout like this, and over here we will write router dot get, and we will write slash logout and we have already know how to create this route by now. So we will send request and response, request comma response over here like this. Then we will make use of our arrow function like this, and we will write try and catch block over here. So this is the general flow what we are doing right now and what we have been doing till now. Okay, here let's say response dot status, and the status will be 500 in case of error, and we will pass JSON error like this. Now let's manage our try block. So inside the try block, what I have to do is I just have to clear whatever the token is generated. So in login route, we have generated the tokens, right? So whenever we are trying to log out, we just have to clear that particular token, so that the user, if the user presses the back button, it does not logging into the website again. Okay, because we are already creating that particular clearing that particular token, so that the user will be logged out successfully. Okay, so for that what we will do over here inside my logout router, so what I'll do, I'll write response dot clear cookie. So clear cookie is basically a predefined function. Clear cookie, you can see the suggestion coming over here. Inside that we'll pass the token, and over here we will also pass some parameters for that. Let's say same site, we will again make this as none like this, and we will say secure true. Now we also have to set the status, right? So let's say dot status 200 dot send. Over here we will pass user logout successfully. Okay, so we have completed our logout route as well. Now what we will do, we will create our refetch route. So let's say refetch over here. Refetch. Okay, again we will create one router. This will also be get, because we are getting the data, right? So over here we will write slash refetch, and we know the drill now, right? Request comma response arrow function, and inside that arrow function what we will do, we will just get the token. So that particular token will be having the data of whatever the user is logged in. Okay, so let's say request dot cookie dot token. So we got our token. Now what we will do with our token, we will make use of our JWT dot verify, so that we will confirm whatever the token we have just received. Okay, so let's say token, inside this token comma process dot env dot secret. So again we will decode this particular token using our secret key, and over here I'm passing the empty function comma async error comma data. So this will return two parts. If the error is occurred, it will return the error, and if the data is returned, it will give the data. So let's say if error, let's say our request didn't make it. Okay, so in that case we will write return response dot status 404 which is not found dot JSON, and whatever the error we got over here. And in case we find that particular token, in that case we will set response dot status status 200 that is successful .json data, like this. Now after creating all the routes, what do we have to do? We have to export this particular route. So let's say module dot export is equal to router. So I'm exporting this particular module as a router. Okay, so this is our particular auth route. Okay, now let's move ahead and create a user route first. Now let's create one more file over here as a user. I'll just turn off my caps. Let's say user.js, like this. And just like we have done for the auth route, we will do the same for our user route as well. So for that, we will just write const express is equal to require express. You can see this auto suggestion. I'm using this. Okay. Const router is equal to express dot router. Now then we will be having our user is equal to require, and this particular user data will be coming from our backend model. So let's say model / user only. Okay, now again we will use our bcrypt is equal to require bcrypt, like this. Then we will have our post. So if you remember the whole project which we have created, in that case what was the navigation? Whenever you are moving to your user profile, from there you can check whatever the post you have created, right? So, or you can say if you want to comment something, so we will comment that particular thing inside that particular user only, right? So for that we will be storing everything, every post, every comment, everything inside our user route. Okay, so that we can gather all the things which the user have done on our website. Okay, so for that I'll be using const post, and this post will be coming from our model again. So let's say / post, like this. Okay, and similarly we will have our comment. So let's say comment all right. Then we will be having our verify token. So we will be creating our verify token as well. So whenever we are using JWT, we also have to make our JWT token. Okay, so in that token, we as we have written over here, right, that we will be generating the token and everything, right? So we also have to get that token. Okay, so to generate this particular token, we will create one separate file, and inside that we will write the logic of how to create a JWT token. Okay, so let's do that first, and then we will come back to a user route. Okay, so to create that particular JWT token, or you can say verify token file, what I'm doing over here is I'm moving to my backend folder, and over here I'm creating one file. So why this is okay fine. Let's say verify token .js, like this, and hit enter. Okay, now what we will do, we will just write const JWT is equal to require, inside that JSON Web Token, like this. Okay, now we will create one more constant variable as verify token, and this token will have request, response, and next. Okay, So next, basically, we add whenever we have a set of let's say operations to do on our backend. Okay, so that's why we use next. So let's say there are 5 requests and pending. Okay, so we use next to move to the next request. So we will create one const token over here, and this token will have a request dot cookies dot token. Like this, we are getting this particular token from our backend from the cookie we have stored. Okay, so in auth, what we have done, we have generated the token and saved that particular token inside a cookie. Now we are getting that particular token over here, and we will be performing the operation based on that particular token. Okay, so if you remember, this token saves your session ID or what you have done in that particular session, right? So for that, we also have to match that particular token. So if the token is not found, what we will do, we will just return response dot status. We will add 401 dot in JSON format, and over here we will write authentication field, or you can say you are not authenticated. So why we do this stuff is because let's say you are in your login page, and if you are not logging and you are directly changing your URL from login to, let's say, comment, or let's say post. Okay, so what happens is you will be able to navigate through that, but whenever we are generating a tokens, we won't be able to navigate to other page without logging in. Okay, and whenever we are logging in, the token will be generated, token will be saved, and the session details will be saved. Now we have to create a function to verify it. So let's say verify JWT dot verify, and over here we will pass token, comma. We have already done this whenever when we have logged in inside our particular website. Secret, comma, this will be async operation, as you all know, and error, comma, data. This we have already done. Okay, this is extra. No, I guess one less. What happened? Why this is showing error? All right. Now let's say if the error returned, in that case what we will do, we will just return response dot status 403. You can use any numbers you want. Okay, I'm using predefined numbers which we generally use when we are creating any website. Okay, so 403 is for invalid input. Okay, token is invalid. Now let's say we found the user, so in that case we will request dot user ID. So from here we will fetch the ID of the particular user and data we got, and we have stored the ID as ID, right? Now whenever this request will be fulfilled, then we will move to our next. Now we also have to export this particular module. So let's say module dot export is equal to verify token. Okay, now our verify token is ready to use. We can use this verify token anywhere inside any route. Okay, so I'm just closing this particular verify token and I'm moving to my user, and over here I'll be importing my the verify token which we have just created. So let's say over here const verify require verify token from here. Okay, now in our user section there were certain operations we used to do. First one was to update our profile or password or anything. Okay, another one was to delete our particular profile, and last one was to get the data from our particular backend to the front end. So whenever you are clicking on your profile section, in that case we are showing the data, so in that case we are getting the data. In case of delete, we are deleting the data from the backend, and in case of update, we are putting the data. So what put does is, whatever the field you are changing, that field will be updated inside our particular backend. So it's not we don't need to get data over there, we have to send the data. So in that case we use put, as we have talked earlier. Now what we will do, we will create first update. Okay, so let's say update over here, and inside this I'll be using my router dot put. So we are updating the data, so we will use put as we have discussed. And what we want to update for that particular ID of the user, right? So whenever we are creating any user inside our backend, we are also giving some unique ID to each of the users. So this will act as my unique key inside my backend. Okay, so ID, we will verify the token. So this verify token is coming from a verify token backend which we have just created. Async and request response, request comma response, and in this case there will be no next, and we will create one arrow function like this, and over here we will exception handling error, and like this. Okay, now let's first manage the exception over here. If we get any error, in that case we will send the response as status 500. We will set the response as status 500.json dot error, like this. Now till now everything is same. Now we have to write the logic to update. Okay, so what we will update, first of all we will check whether the request dot body dot password. Okay, so based on the password we will generate the salt. So let's say const salt. If we are changing the password, in that case we also have to add the salt to that particular password as well, right? So let's say await bcrypt dot generate salt, and again the salt will be of 10 length. And okay, so if we are updating the password, in that case we will add salt to that particular password, and we will also request dot body password, and we will await that. We will hash that particular password, hash sync, and will pass request body password. Okay, like this password, and we will pass salt as well over here. Okay, so let's say salt, like this, semicolon. Now now we will create one update variable over here like this. Let's say update let's give user. Okay, update user. Okay, so let's say let's make it updated user. Okay, so whatever the updated user information we will store in this particular variable, just like we have done for our new user, right? So we will find that particular user first. So let's say find by ID and update. Update like this. Okay, and inside this we will pass request dot params dot id semicolon, and here we will have set request dot body. We will set the updated value as our data of the body, okay, and after body there will be no dot because we want to store the whole object, and over here we will create new colon true. So whenever we are updating any thing, we are not creating a new user. Make sure of that. We are only changing the current user's data, okay. Now over here write response dot set status. Status will be 200 in case of success. Dot JSON, and over here we will pass updated user, okay, like this. We have handle the error over here. Now after update we have delete, and then we have get user, okay. So let's create delete as well. So let's say delete like this, and over here we will create a router dot delete. This is the same thing what we will be doing, okay, and this part will be same for this one also. So I'm just copying this part down and pasting that over here, because obviously we are going to delete a user. We are going to delete based on the particular ID of that particular user, okay. So okay, this will be outside this, I guess. Okay, fine. Now what we will do, we will again create our try and cache block. So let's say try, and over here let's say cache. It will have error, and this is the error handling. So let's say response dot status 500 dot JSON error, okay. This is the normal drill we will be doing, okay. Now whenever we are deleting the data, first we will await for that particular data to be loaded completely. So let's say await user dot find ID and delete. You can see this particular suggestion coming up over here. Let's say find by ID and delete. So we will find that particular user based on the ID, and then we will perform the delete operation. So it's very simple to understand, right? We also delete all the post of that particular user. So whenever we are deleting the account of the user, we will also be deleting the post of that particular user. So over here this period dot delete many. So this will delete all the post, okay, and user ID colon request params ID, like this, and we will also delete the comment. So I'm just copying this particular part down, and I'm just writing comment over here like this. Now if the deletion is successful, in that case what we will do, we will just set the response status as 200, and we will pass JSON string over here, and we'll say user deleted successfully. Successfully, like this, okay. So we have completed our delete also. Now it just get the user, okay. So whenever we are fetching the user data, we will write get user, and over here we will create another router dot get, let's say ID again, because obviously we are getting the user based on their IDs. So ID comma async request comma response like this, and over here we will have try and catch block. So this is our try block, catch block will contain the error, and over here we will set the response dot status as 500, and we will pass JSON error over here. Fine. Now let's handle the catch try block. Now inside the try block, what we will do, we will just find that particular user, and we will pass that particular user to wherever we want. Okay, so let's say const, we will store whole data inside one variable, that is user, and inside user we will find user dot find by id, and we will write request dot params dot id like this. Then we will write constant, inside that we will pass the password and all the info. This is similar to the fetch function we have created. Okay, so if you remember, in the fetch function we have done the same thing. We find the element by id, and then we get all the data for that particular id, and we will pass it like this. Now we will set the response dot status as 200, and we will pass JSON info. So this was our get user function. Okay, and over here I'm exporting the module. So let's say module dot export is equal to router, like this. So we have completed our user routes as well. So with that, we have successfully created our user route, and we have seen how to set up our JWT token, how to bcrypt your password, how to encrypt your password, and everything. Okay, so we have created our authentications as well. Now rest of the route we will create in our next upcoming video. We will also create the modules. Basically, what are the modules? Modules is basically the schema of our particular database. Okay, so we will create everything in next video. Till then, keep coding, and I'll see you guys in next one. Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat offers a full stack developer course which enable you to learn tech stack from both front end and back end. Through this course, you will gain hands-on experience with the skills and technologies such as SQL, Java, data structure, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, Node.js, and React under the guidance of industrial professionals. With this course, we have already helped thousands of professionals in successful career transition. You can check out the testimonial on our Achievers channel, whose link is given in the description below. Without a doubt, this course can set your careers to new heights. So visit the course page link given in the description and take the first step towards the career growth with the full stack developer course.